Greetings all. I was just here looking at the clouds in the background of this video. They are so beautiful. They look so magnificent. But if you're a pilot and you're flying in that direction, you better be calling ATC for redirection. And that today is like the world we live in. My video today is I don't know, a little hodgepodge of all the little intricacies surrounding the return of what we would call the colonialists. Africans call them the colonialists to Africa. We've seen it happen in there, South Africa, where they just put the white supremacists into the government of South Africa. And you have black South Africans voting for what's called the DA. Hey! The other thing is this, they call it the G7, the Gang of Seven. And I was listening to one speech by one Ruto from Kenya. Kenya right now is the darling of the EU and the US. It can do no wrong. And Ruto is playing his part very faithfully. Not thinking about all the others who did that in Africa and how they ended up. We from the diaspora come to Africa not knowing what we are coming into. And I'm not telling you not to come to Africa. So don't let anybody start talking about how I'm talking bad about Africa. I'm preparing you for what you're going to meet. You are leaving America because there's a lot of talk about immigrants coming in and the country going downhill and things being bad, and you know, that's one reason why you leave in America. You can only see the stuff that you gotta deal with is getting up to you. You like, you can't swim and the water is up to your chin and you can't find your way to shore. And the only place you can see is this rock next to you. So you're going to go to that rock because it's a place of safety. But you don't know anything about the rock. And you don't know that that rock is being used by somebody else who controls it. And when you get there, you're going to be under the same control. You're leaving America and Europe to go to Africa, and the people who you're leaving, trying to run from, have already moved in and started doing what they want with the place. I gave you a couple of videos the other day that shows you how West Africa, they plan to transform West Africa, making super cities and most of you are Bible fanatics don't know it. The Bible warned you about that. A city is a rich man's, is the place where a rich man rules. The people of the city are enslaved to the rich man. But anyway, you're returning to Africa, and you will see the people who are coming to America, you call them immigrants, illegal immigrants. But you are going to Africa, and you're thinking you're going home, but the African sees you as an immigrant. Most of them see you as somebody who's coming to take something, and they tolerate it because you have money. But when the European squeezes Africa, like they're beginning to do right now, squeezing everything out, even they have sent, first they call it the Africans to London, then they call the Africans to the EU, then they call the Africans to America, then they call the Africans to Italy the other day, then Japan, then they call them to Korea just the other day. And all of these are to make deals for the resources. Then they tell the Africans, you be here. And if you read all the information coming out of this, it's all about them getting the resource from Africa and the promise. Sorry for the interruption there. You can see there's some changes going on in the atmosphere. Dark clouds are moving in. That's why I said in the beginning that if you're a pilot moving towards that area, you'll be asking for redirection, because there's some terrible wind shear in that area. Anyway, for you, those of you who know about wind shear and what it can do to an aircraft. But Africans get called everywhere across the planet by the same colonial mind people. Now you have Korean who's joining in. The reason why Korea is in there, and Japan and Italy, is because they are getting the resources to make weapons. There's a preparation for war. America used to supply all the weapons to all of them. But America's now, the weapons that America makes are in the millions of dollars per copy. And the weapons that's needed for war, or the wars that are coming, other people are making them for 10%, 20% of what America makes them for. So the Koreans now, ordered by America, the Italians ordered by the EU, Japanese ordered by America, to make weapons, preparation for war. I don't know if you remember one of my videos where I told you about, they were threatening war. They told the American public, the Army, Navy, Air Force, all the people in charge of this in the US and the EU, telling their people to prepare for war in 2027 against China. What you see now is a preparation leading up to, they're testing the waters to see how they were going to fare in a war for power. Anyway, I'm listening to Africans. There are a few of them talking. none of the leaders are listening. And none of the leaders comprehend what is happening in the world stage. Well, I shouldn't say none, because South Africa is in the BRICS. And as such, they would know what's going on. But if you see what's going on in South Africa, you're wondering, why would Ramaphosa form a government with DA, which are the same people who was ruling South Africa before they made a deal with Nelson Mandela? Same people. Now you, as a diasporan, you're coming to Africa, you're going to see all the poverty, you know, the lack of housing. Well, you might move into a nice house, but you think it's a nice house. But if you don't watch some of my videos before, you'll see that houses in Africa are not built. They look pretty. Tiles on the walls, but if you take off the tiles, you'll see the walls have fallen in on the in between the tiles on the outside and the tiles on the inside. The only thing is in there is sand. But nevertheless, you look out your window beside you, you're going to see poverty. Compound don't have windows. You'll see it for yourself. Go to Africa. What my point is that when things in the West fall apart, Africa feels it. And you are running from the West to Africa because you think that it's better there, it's safer there. And I'm not saying don't go, but prepare yourself. You have to look at all these things that are happening around the world, how they affect you in Africa. The G7 the other day just took Russia's money. And the way Janet Yellen explained it is that the money she's taking is not Russian money. It's the interest that was made on the money that the Russians had. The Russian account now is supposed to be making interest. And they say the interest is not the money, is not owned by Russia, it's owned by the institution where the money is deposited. The money that was deposited there is making money for the institution, not for Russia. The interest is not owned by Russia. So you leave it your account in America. Everybody's account, anywhere in the world. The interest that made on that money. When you buy a stock, the interest, the increase that is made. You look, people will look at this thing and not think about it the way I am seeing it. And a lot of financial analysts are beginning to look at this thing and saying, wow, if that is evidence like that, what? People are getting scared now because their money is not their money. And the government is telling them that. So what's going to happen in Africa? The Africans are so scared that their money is going to get taken. When their money when all the rich Africans' money get taken in Europe, and you are in Africa, guess what's going to happen to the money in your pocket? And you think that your money is not going to get taken? If it doesn't get taken by the government or get taken by the neighbor next door who is starving, you might think that I'm, what do they call it now? Fear-mongering. But be careful. You have to have vision. Be careful what you do. I understand that you want to see what we consider the motherland. You want to move to a place that you consider safe. And I'm not saying don't do it, do it. Do it, do it, do it. But while you're doing it, be prepared for everything that's going to happen. The world you're living in is going to change drastically. It has already begun to change. And we are not paying attention to it. And if we live in a world where it's changing in America and Europe, if you live in the midst of all the carnage that's going on, you are pounded every day about news about war, and you're seeing the price of everything go up, your cost of living. Some of you now can't even afford to buy a house in the US or Europe. If you are seeing this and you're trying to get out, you're going to Africa. The African is not even seeing what's happening in Africa, what these people are coming to Africa and doing. Their leaders are not informing them. Even the YouTubers, the big African YouTubers are not saying a word about it. There are some, but the people who can have an impact on the lives of their fellow Africans, they're just entertaining. Keeping the African ignorant about what's going on in the world until he become enslaved again is what's happening. And you are moving into that. Again, I'm saying, I'm not telling you not to move, but prepare yourself. Sometimes, just like how you move from the US because you don't want to give up your life in the US, but if things were better, you would stay. But you made the choice. Things are not what I want to live in here, and I'm moving somewhere else. Don't be foolish enough to say, you know what, I'm not going to move from this place to another place when things happen there. Africans stay silent. If you look all over Africa, look at all the news all throughout the years, and you'll see that Africans are silent even when their best leaders are executed. They participate in the execution. You can go all the way back to slavery and see that Africans brought us, the diasporans, our foreparents, to the coast to put them on the ships that owned by the people who call themselves Jews. And if you think it can't happen again, but this time it's going to happen in Africa. There will be no ships bringing Africans out. Africa is going to be the place where the slaves live. Anyway, I hope you start reading up on what's going on, learning about what's happening in Africa before you move. And if you're living in Africa, you have African friends, teach them about what's about to happen. Show them how the world is changing and how they should look at things. Don't wait for the white man to come save you. He's not coming to save you. He's coming smiling and you say, oh, he's my friend, but he's not. Warn your African friends. Teach them. Teach them, teach them, teach them. You're going to need them to save your life. Have a great day wherever you are. Peace.